Welcome to Shambani Farm, fellow goat farmers. Today I want to talk about inbreeding. In this very short video, we're going to look at what inbreeding is, what inbreeding is not, how inbreeding can affect your farm, and what you need to do to avoid inbreeding situation at your farm. So the number one thing that we're going to start talking about right now is basically to define the term inbreeding and what exactly it means. So inbreeding is when you breed two animals that are closely related. If you breed a father to a daughter, that's inbreeding. If you allow a son to breed a mother, that's inbreeding. If you allow two siblings to breed, that's inbreeding. So basically, here we're talking about very closely related animals, but also even the cycle that's just outside of it. That is a grandfather, a grandmother, siblings that are a little bit, on the outer side. That is also still called inbreeding. It's different from what we call line breeding. And I will discuss about line breeding on a completely separate video to cover only line breeding in itself. But now let's focus on inbreeding. Now, why is this important for you as a goat farmer to know? It's important because inbreeding can have a huge impact on your farm in terms of the quality of animals that you produce at your farm. If you inbreed your animals, the outcome is that the generation of animals that you have in your farm will continue to deteriorate in terms of quality. And you're going to start introducing a lot of problems at the farm. That could be breeding problems, that could be kidding problems, that could be, growth problems. It could be animals that are born with a lot of deformities. It could be reduced vigor or reduced growth, robustness of that animal. And some of these animals would actually eventually become very poor in terms of quality. They'll sort of like lose the values or the quality of the original breed because of continuous inbreeding. This is the same as in human beings. If you breed with your very close kins, then there's high likelihood to produce all sort of kids that are not of sound mind, of sound physical form, etc. So there's a whole lot of problems that could result. But when it comes to goats, as a goat farmer, you want your herd to be improving in terms of quality all the time, in terms of amount of meat, in terms of milk production, to be improving and improving and improving. But the minute you inbreed your animal, you are sort of like declining those good qualities they have. You're corroding those good qualities they have, and you start introducing bad qualities. What happens in inbreeding is that you sort of like accelerate the bad qualities the animal has. And you don't want to do that as a farmer. So how can a farmer avoid inbreeding at a farm? The simplest way a lot of farmers have done is to basically remove the buck altogether at the farm that has served a certain generation. So they'll keep a buck for about 1 year, and then after that get rid of that buck. Well, that is also a good way, but then again, it could also be expensive, particularly in a market like ours here in Tanzania, where to get good bucks is very hard. For example, here at Shambani Farm, we have got some boa bucks, and you don't want after 1 year you get rid of them, and then you start getting other, you start going looking for other Boer bucks, most likely importing them from South Africa or from nearby countries. So the other way that you can do to avoid inbreeding is simply have a good management system of your goats, whereby you know and you keep records of which buck is breeding which group of animals. So for example, all my does are tagged, and you may have tags from 1 to 50 staying in one group, and another group tagged between 51 to 100 staying with another buck, another group from 101 to 150, and another group from 150 to 200. All these 4 groups will be served with different types of bucks. So for example, the group from 1 to 50, I could introduce a Boer buck to them and make sure that there's no other buck that is breeding these 50 does. How will you do that? Just make sure that when the animals go out for grazing, they're not grazing together with the bucks. So the bucks could either be kept indoor and fed indoor as zero grazing, and then, you know, when the does return, you release those bucks that you want to meet with those specific type of goats to go to those does and mount those does. So that's what I would usually do. I would group my does in different groups and introduce to them a buck that I specifically assign to mount them. And what would happen is, after these kids are born, so these kids will be, let's say, kids of small East African goats that are bred by a Boer buck. Boer buck will be called BMB. And then I have another group that is of 50 small East African goats, and I breed them to a Kalahari buck called Redman. Another group of small East African goats that I breed them to another Boer buck called Beda Junior, and another group of small East African goats that I'm breeding to a Saanen buck. Then what would happen when I already have these offspring of, let's say, the group 1 that has got a Boer buck called BMB? When they are produced, those kids will be 50% Boer, 50% small East African goats. If I want to continue improving this breed more towards Boer, I will then use a Boer buck, Beda Junior, to mount the kids of this group in order to make sure that those kids are bred with a similar breed that I want to continue to breed them, to increase or to upgrade the quality of that buck, but not being bred by their father or a buck that is related to them. With the Kalahari, for example, I could take the kids that are born from the Kalahari and then breed them with a Boer buck. Then what you have there is a 3-way crossbreeding, whereby the third offspring will be 50% Boer, 25% red Kalahari, and 25% small East African goat. So in essence, I think I've covered a lot with regard to inbreeding. What you need to do as a farmer is to make sure you avoid your goats to be inbred, because that will continuously deteriorate the quality of the animal that you want to keep. And you don't want to do that at your farm. So thank you so much for watching Shambani Farm videos. We'll continue to update you on more videos. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and click the bell button so that you make sure you receive all our updates in time. Cheers.